What's going on, guys? My name is Chronic and welcome back to another Chivalry 2 weapon guide. We're talking about the forgotten younger cousin of all the great axes in this game, something that in the right hands could absolutely put any of them to shame, except maybe the Dane axe. The weapon to focus for today's episode is the poleaxe. Wielded by the knight officer, the poleaxe is very similar to other long axes like the halberd, but where the halberd is quite slow and requires a skillful level of dragging and excelling, the poleaxe can be extremely quick to land combos with insane ease for such a long weapon. Getting to the meat and potatoes of this weapon, the poleaxe's in-game stats aren't too far off how it actually performs. With around 66% reach, 50% speed, and 33% damage, these stats contribute to a very powerful weapon and allow it to really shine as one of the most underrated weapons in Chivalry 2. Based on this graphic by the creator of polehammer.net, the in-game stats aren't nearly as inaccurate as we've seen with other weapons. That being said, at 65% reach, 42% speed, and 69% max damage, these true stats paint an even stronger picture of just how amazing this weapon can be in the right hands. With the built-in chop damage multiplier, knights and footmen can be taken down as easily as they are with other axe contemporaries, such as the Dane and Executioner's axes, especially since the poleaxe isn't seen nearly as often as the others, which will help the wielder land some skillful maneuvers by providing a unique playstyle. When going over the comparison on polehammer.net, the poleaxe falls somewhere in between the halberd and glaive when it comes to speed and damage. I'd compare it quite closely with the Dane and war axes based on the stats in the screenshot. Where these weapons have a high damage output, they require the wielder to get within a closer range than the poleaxe. Its damage leaves a bit to be desired in most situations, but since it's a combo machine, this shouldn't matter in the long run. Bringing it back to the in-game stats, the poleaxe's perks are extremely well-rounded when paired with the stats that we've talked about so far. Faster recovery gives a competitive edge when compared to other axes in the game. This basically makes it a cross between the halberd and the glaive, and allows you to throw your follow-ups much quicker than you can with other weapons. Increased stamina negation on block means that blocking will cost less stamina, giving you more survivability when fighting other capable warriors. And finally, increased special damage is the easiest one to figure out. When you get into one of those situations where special attacks work well, you'll be dealing even more damage, making specials, which can be a huge risk, much more worthwhile of your time. The poleaxe, as with other axes in Chivalry 2, is made for a mixture of 1v1 combat and crowd control, leaning more towards 1v1s than other large axes like the Executioner's axe. The head isn't nearly as large and devastating as other axes, but the reach allows you to keep enemies at bay and buys you some significant combat time with faster recovery and the decreased stamina cost for blocking. This gives you the opportunity to steal initiative quite often, considering how many weapons in the game are heavy and can take quite a while before fully recovering. Keeping opponents at a long distance and stealing initiative so much faster than the average weapon allows the poleaxe to succeed in its most important aspect, combos. Landing hit after hit becomes easy with its perks and stats, and the length gives the poleaxe the ability to land confusing hits around the block stance, making it a strong blend of the halberd and the glaive, as I stated earlier in the video. As always, a good combo to practice with would be slash overhead, changing directions and tucking feints in there to keep enemies moving around, hopefully killing their stamina supply before yours runs out, which should be within the realm of possibility due to the poleaxe's decreased stamina cost. The more confusing the attacks, the better shape you'll be in, since this weapon is an unsung hero of feinting, dragging, and excelling. So, as we've talked about with other weapons, try to keep your enemies working hard and move around them with your attacks, specifically slashes, which have a huge chance to crack them in their sides or their backside. To conclude, the poleaxe is yet another masterful long weapon that rivals the power of the halberd, glaive, and all other two-handed axes in Chivalry 2. It may have the least recognition out of the group, but that doesn't make it any less viable than the others. It may even make it a bit better, because people are so used to fighting against things like the Executioner's axe, the Dane axe, and the halberd. A powerhouse of confusion and longevity, the poleaxe is very rarely mentioned when talking about great weapons, probably because it's wielded by the same class that uses the most skillful and destructive weapons in the entire game, the greatsword and the longsword. But the poleaxe is a beast when it comes to survivability and 1v1 maneuvers, and has an extremely viable combat style that in the right hands can be used to bring enemies to their knees. I hope this video inspires you to give it a try, and if you already use it, I hope this video gives you some skills that you may not have had before. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this one. Now, I'm getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, and I couldn't be more grateful to all of you for such great feedback on my previous videos. My goal is to eventually cover every weapon in the game, so hopefully every single type of warrior in Chivalry 2 is represented by my channel at some point. Thank you for watching, friends. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take it easy and take care. Chronic, out.